How you feel about people that say Suge Knight was a bad influence on Tupac? And people that say Suge Knight is the one that put a battery in Tupac bag?
There's two ways of looking at it. There's at the time looking at it, and then there's hindsight looking at it. At the time looking at it, Suge put a battery in everybody back that was with him. See, I'm a part of Suge's circle. I'm not a part of Dre's circle or Snoop's circle. I'm a part of Suge's circle. And I was already affiliated with Blood, so I understood that whole dynamic. So that's how I was rolling, you know? And like I say, understanding how being a part of that can put a battery in your back to have an open door on a lot of things to do to people and just be a certain way. Looking back on it, I mean, looking forward, like looking in hindsight, yeah, it was a bad influence. That whole situation could be a bad influence on anybody. If you were in that circle, and I'm saying he wasn't just in the circle. He was next to the guy who ran the circle.
So do you think Tupac joining Death Row was his downfall?
Yeah. That might be controversial and I might get a lot of bullshit for saying it, but looking at it and being in the inside and not just looking at it from a fan point of who this person was and who this person was, it was a downfall because he became something that he never been before. He never had that power. He never had that not just a battery. It's more than a battery because you have to understand what Death Row was at the time, the power that it had. It ran the industry. The whole industry bowed down to Death Row. There was no label. I'm talking the corporations. I ain't talking about little labels like a Ruthless or a this or that, a Bad Boy. Bad Boy signed to Arista. Arista bowed down to Death Row. You know what I'm saying? Universal bowed down to Death Row. Everything bowed down to Death Row. There was nothing bigger, nothing greater. Death Row had full control, where other corporations was giving Death Row their whole department. So that's a hard question to really answer, but in hindsight looking at it, yeah, that brought the downfall of Tupac. It changed him from Tupac maybe he was changing and trying to get out of it, but nobody can really answer that question.
Keyshia Cole, she was around Death Row, right?
Yeah, she was a part of like I believe Hammer's situation from Oakland, where he was bringing certain people around, and she was like 11 or 12. She was down there with probably her friend. I can't remember her name, but she had this one girl that she was cool with that was her age. So she was really like a fish out of water in this situation because she was only 12 years old. She's trying to do R&B at Death Row Records. You know what I'm saying? R&B department was like, I kind of like was over the R&B type thing, me and a dude named D Harp. So we was really working with her project, which we wasn't taking too serious at the time because it was like, she's 12 years old. What the fuck are they gonna do? They got fucking Aaron Hall over here. You know, we got Christopher Williams over here. We got Jodeci over here. We got Mary J. Blige over here. What are we gonna do with Keyshia project? So we was gradually trying to figure out how to get into it. But at the same time, Suge was giving her power. Like Suge was like, she was like Suge's little niece or something. You know what I'm saying? At 12. She was getting whatever the fuck she wants. So if she wanted studio time, you had to go work with Keyshia. So I was kind of like her chaperone at times.
How close was Keyshia Cole and Tupac?
It was close because of the Oakland situation. And like I say, Hammer was heavily involved. He was like a lieutenant. Pac was like a lieutenant. Shit was the capo. So with Hammer being a lieutenant and Pac being a lieutenant, she was right in there. You know what I'm saying? Suge took a liking to Keyshia Cole. When Pac died, she was right there with us.
Okay.
She was right there.
Okay. So I seen an interview with Keyshia Cole, man. She did an interview with Fat Joe some months ago where she told a story that Tupac told her personally that he was going to leave Death Row and he was going to start a label with Quincy Jones and she was going to be a part of that label. How you feel about that?
Man, I hear those stories about Pac leaving Death Row, completely leaving Death Row. I can see Pac start, like I said, he had no issue with saying Michel'le Records in front of Suge. So that told me right there that Suge knew about a Michel'le Records. It was probably going to be distributed by Death Row and maybe / Quincy label. But it was not going to be no Michel'le Records, Quincy Jones. Because again, at the time, you got to understand the power that Death Row had with all the other labels. As far as distribution and all that. Shit was making sure shit was getting distributed right. You know what I'm saying? Everybody was getting their money who knew about how to get their money. That was another thing. You wasn't going to get your money if you didn't know how to get your money. If you didn't even know what a damn royalty was, you wasn't getting your royalties. Because there was no royalty department with Death Row. So I can't see him saying that he was going to leave Death Row and sign with Quincy and I'm bringing you with me when he's saying Michel'le Records in front of Suge, telling my boy that you're going to come to Michel'le Records. And I knew other artists that he had right in the complex that we all stayed in the same complex. Outlaws, 6 Feet Deep, Hammers people, Keyshia Cole, you know what I'm saying? We all stayed in the same complex, so we all knew everybody's business. So that's kind of hard for me to believe, but I won't say that it didn't, that she wasn't told that, because I don't know what another person would tell another person, you know what I'm saying, to make them feel comfortable. He might have told her that, but without, he might have didn't go into detail that I'm not leaving Death Row. I don't know the words, I'm leaving Death Row Records and I'm going to Quincy. What the fuck would you do that for? Because Quincy was signed to Warner Brothers. Going to Quincy was not a major label. Quincy didn't have a major label. That's what people don't understand. When they say like, oh, Pac was gonna go sign with Quincy Jones. You gonna go sign with Quest Records / Warner Brothers, who left Death Row? That don't make sense. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Warner Brothers cut Death Row loose. Cop Killer, all that shit, you know what I'm saying? Ice Cube, remember? They cut Interscope. I think Interscope was with Warner Brothers at one point in time.
Right.
Whatever, there was some kind of like split where Warner Brothers was like, oh shit, we ain't want to have nothing to do with this Cop Killer shit and none of this gangster rap music.
Right.
So you're gonna go take Tupac, bring him to Quincy Jones through Warner Brothers? Don't make sense.